Welcome back to another glorious episode of Spirits, Angels, and Guides. Oh my, I am Nancy Christine Brady.
I'm Tara Diana, and we are super excited to have Cheryl Bailey with us. We haven't had anyone on, Nancy, in a while. We've been kind of focusing on me and you, and that's a lot right there. So super excited to have Cheryl on here. And thank you for being with us. It's been a process getting to this point. I will not lie.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Scheduling.
that always gets in the way, but it's here, it's now. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm super looking forward to the conversation that's about ready to unfold.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So, Cheryl, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. We got to get a little teaser to our audience here.
Okay, awesome. So I am Cheryl Bailey. I live in Sedona, Arizona, and I am a spiritual life coach. I'm a wellness practitioner, and you might say, "Well, what's a wellness practitioner?" So I put in that gamut, everything that I sort of do: yoga, meditation, sound healings, breath work, crystal practitioner, and Reiki practitioner. And so if you came to Sedona, whether it's a vacation and you're looking for a spiritual healing service, or you're not on vacation and you want to meet online, there are many ways to connect with me. And I love working with people. I'm such an extrovert. I love to connect with people and really just make them feel comfortable in the sense of what is healing and what is this healing journey that we're on. And typically that starts sometimes with, an experience, and I show up in front of them and we talk a little bit about how the experience is going to be and how I got to do what I do in the space and how I ended up in Sedona.
You know
Wow.
what? It's not an easy thing to you do the work full time, right, Cheryl?
I do the work full time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do the work full time as well. It's not an easy thing to get to. It's not, there's a lot of trepidation that goes into taking that leap of faith when it comes to, doing this work full time. And once you do that kind of leap of faith, it falls into your, how do I say this? It kind of like spirit's like, okay, so I got you. I got you.
Hmm.
Trust me, we're going to make this work. So as long as you trust the process, how did you find the process once you decided that this was what you wanted to do full time?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You are absolutely right that it is not easy to trust the process and get into the space full time, right? Because you got bills to pay, things to do. People are depending on you, including myself, and it's not easy. But if you look at my past, I worked over 16 years in higher education. So I took that skill set that I had from higher education. I
Mhm.
wasn't a teacher, but I would talk in front of people. I would connect with people. I would, do public speaking. Sort of, it's all still teaching in some way, and then translated it into my full time job now. But I started out dabbling. This was a side hustle of mine. It was a side hustle. I was born and raised in New Jersey. And let's just say New Jersey's not Sedona. So those
You
elements
don't
and
say.
energies are a little bit different. And so it was a side hustle. And I would teach yoga and I would do meditation with people who were interested. I worked in a yoga studio for a while. And then COVID hit. And we had a place in New Jersey, and my husband had a place here because we had a long distance relationship for a while.
Okay.
And we traveled here during COVID, and it was a different experience here. You could be outside with Mother Nature, you could be in open air restaurants, you could be doing all of the things that you would sort of do in normal life. And in New Jersey, that really wasn't the case. So I spent a great deal of time here. Like, I think it was like 2.5 months. And I pretty much saw the signs from spirit at that time and said it was time to make the leap of faith. And trust me when I say I was very fearful. But everything started to unfold exactly as it was supposed to. We found a place to move to. we were leasing a place in New Jersey, and that lease happened to be up, and I needed to extend it. I am a mother to 3 young adult children, and my last child was still in college, and she's pretty evolved soul. And she's like, if this is your time to go, then this is your time to go. So trusting all of those signs,
Mhm.
following those signs, and then coming here. And I sort of sat back for a little bit and I just watched. And the question that I asked myself initially was, who do you think you are coming to Sedona and sharing your gifts? Because at the end of the day, we look at Sedona, and Sedona is this spiritual healing destination that people come to.
Right.
And then I
Mhm.
remember after probably about 3, 4 months, the question became, who are you not to share your gifts with other people?
So let
And
me ask you
so,
something, Cheryl. Let me just
yeah.
interrupt. When you said that, who are you?
Hmm.
Did you feel you're being kind of condescending to yourself? Did you feel like you
Absolutely.
were like, What makes me feel special?"
I
I
felt
should
like
come
I
here.
wasn't good enough, right? I felt like all the healers here were magical and special, and they had something that I didn't have. And yeah,
Tara,
so it was building up confidence.
Tara and I did a whole episode on that, like a term we've seen used regularly is imposter syndrome, right?
Absolutely had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you have the tools and you have the teachings, and then it's like time to do it. And you're like, but who do I think I am doing this? This is like the mecca of it all. And I started
Which
out, yeah,
I just want to say this, which is interesting to me because when I met you online, and I met
yeah.
you, through a virtual event that I was hosting, and I loved you right off the bat. I thought the energy was authentic and purposeful, and you were passionate in the work that you did. And I'd been to Sedona,
Hmm.
and I had loved Sedona, but I am not gonna lie, the commercialism there and the how do I say this, Nan? There is this as much as there is this very high vibing energy there that you can, if you just stay out of the commercialism, if you stay out of the
Hmm.
hookiness of it all, and you stay committed, like we took a whole retreat down and took them to you to
Yeah.
have a session. If you can stay out of that, because I find all of that is just debilitating energy.
It is.
But
It
when you
sucks
come,
you dry.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and everyone's always excited. Well, I'm going to Sedona. That's what we had 27 people come with us. They
Yeah.
were all like, "We're coming, we're coming."
Hmm.
But I love that you have found your kind of niche there, and it's
Hmm.
not based on that. I just don't love that.
Commercialism.
Yeah,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
kind of, the preying on people, I'm this
Yep.
and I'm that.
I'm the guru. Listen to
Yeah,
me. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're your own guru, right?
And I
right.
gotta say, like all the ladies we took to your sound bath, it was an absolutely game-changing experience. It was something I would 100% recommend. And I loved the authenticness of it. I loved the deep feels of it. What you did talk about, though, I wanted to switch the topic slightly here. You talked about sound and you talked about the
Hmm.
of energy and the reverberation. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit to our listeners about that because
Hmm.
I feel that's like often a topic that we oversee. We talk about the feels, we talk about the clairs, and we don't necessarily get right into the deep about the the
About
sound.
what's happening actually in a sound healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting you asked that question because I will remember my very first sound healing, which was many years ago in New Jersey, and someone was playing the sound bowls at the end of a yoga class in Shavasana. And for me, right off the get-go, it was an instant connection. Like, what is this? I must know it. And it took me years to actually become a sound healer. And then, here in Sedona, there's not many places in the world, let's face it, that you can like do sound healing and become a full time practitioner at it. You have to be in a special place to be able to do it.
Mm.
Um, and Sedona is definitely one of them. I mean, obviously, I offer other things, but sound is one of my most sought after experience that when people come here to Sedona, they want to know it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yep, I really believe that. And when I first started doing this, which was 4.5 years ago, sound came to me after my mom passed away. So I literally was in my home that I grew up in New Jersey after my mom passed, and I had a complete download. Begin working with sound; it will help you heal. And I listened to that, and within a month's time of coming back to Sedona, I connected with a practitioner who was selling crystal bowls, and that is how my journey began when I began, sharing sound. And anything that I share with other people, I work with myself first to understand what it does, and I can tell you, I've probably taken, I don't know, 5 classes from different practitioners on sound healing. And then I've taken different pieces from different practitioners and formulated it as my own share.
Beautiful.
But right. But what I know about sound is we as humans resonate with sound. If we think about sound, in the beginning, there was sound. It says that in the Bible, right? Every culture across the world, sound has always been something that people resonate with. We have used it in ritual, we have used it in ceremony, we use it in churches. Monks use it with chanting and mantra, we drumming, the indigenous,
Mm.
gongs. Every single culture across the world has used sound as a form of transformation. And so I don't really think this is something new. I think it's actually a remembering. And that is
Mm.
why sound can resonate with us so deeply, because it's in our DNA. And I think it's a remembering of who we truly are. And so, whether that is playing sound bowls or different instruments, or the gong, or the drum, or mantra, or singing, our voice can be one of the most healing instruments that we can use with another human.
Oh, speak for
Um,
yourself, girlfriend. This girl ain't got nothing going on there.
No, you can totally do it. Like I used to say the same exact thing. And then one day I was playing crystal bowls. This had to be like 2.5 years ago. And the bowls literally, I know that you guys will understand when I say this, the bowls were like, sing. And I was like, I don't sing, sing. And it was this energy that became so palpable inside my body until I released something from my voice. And it's really not about singing words and, maybe a song. It's just about mantras. It's just about chanting things that move through me and helps to connect with you. I literally have had people say, the sound healing was amazing, but then when you shared your voice, it took me to a whole another level.
And people
Mhm.
said that at the sound bath. So for our listeners, in October, Nancy and I took a whole lot of people down to Sedona, and we had the pleasure of connecting in person with Cheryl, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I will say everyone had a very different experience. Right,
Mhm.
a very
Mhm.
different experience. And I want to pose something to you. And I know that I've kind of jumped in on the conversation, but do you feel, has anyone expressed to you that when they're in the sound bath, when you are doing the magic that you do with spirit, uh, has anyone ever said to you, I have had an out of body experience with this? I leave my body.
Yeah, I just got chills when you said that. Yes, and one of the most profound shares came from a gentleman in his 70s. And he never shared with me that day his experience. He saw me the following day. And this was when I was teaching at a resort locally.
Hmm.
And they were staying at the resort. And we used to have shares every single day. And you could come and go if you were staying at the resort. And he came back the following day after the sound healing and he said, Cheryl, can I share something with you? And I was like, sure. And he said, I had the most amazing experience yesterday in your sound healing. And I was like, that's awesome. And he's like, I want to tell you about it. He said, I had an out of body experience. And I said, okay, now I've had out of body experiences, but now I
Mhm.
have a 70-year-old man who was resistant to the whole thing. And his wife brought him along and was like, let's give this a try. And he proceeded to tell me that he was ready to walk out of the experience, that he was rolling his eyes at me, and that he absolutely had no idea what was going to happen. And he really just was sort of closed down, as I could read it in his body language. And then he had the most amazing out of body experience. He said, I was sort of above myself, watching myself. And he said, and then when the experience was over, I carried this sense of peace and like comfort throughout my remainder of the day. And he's like, I haven't felt that way ever in my life. And I'm like, and there is what you open yourself to and experience, and let all expectations and judgments by the wayside. And can you just let the experience flow like it's supposed to? And so it was just amazing. And I've had many people tell me that. And I mean, for me, that is so beautiful, and I love that I can hold space, that you feel comfortable enough that that experience can unfold like that. Because remember, it has to be a very trusted, safe space in order for you to feel like you're safe enough to fully let go, to actually have that type of experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I speak for many of us that were there, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm gonna say something that's gonna trigger someone. I don't absolutely love the sound baths. I don't I find that a lot of the different noises
Mhm.
don't resonate with me. Crystal bowls, I truly find very soothing, but played in a certain way. And it's not always played like that. So I'm always open for the experience, but I was very happy that when I got in there, I could just like relax. I wasn't on pins and needles. But to be honest, I also have that same kind of feeling with different energy healers. I
Mhm.
have a very select few I let work with me, or I have the pleasure of working with on me, whatever. But I have very few. But I was really quite not impressed. That's not the word. I was grateful. I was
Mm.
grateful that I could experience it at a high level without it being anything that just wasn't resonating with me. And the thing is that you can be a high vibing person, and something like that doesn't have to resonate with you. And I think it's really important that people know that if you go to a sound bath or a gong bath or a crystal bowl, anything like that, and it doesn't resonate with you, it's actually okay. You're not flawed. You're not.
No,
You're not
absolutely.
right.
And you know what? I love that you brought that up, because there are many people that have been to my sound healing. And I usually sometimes preface that, like, I'll ask who has attended a sound healing, and people will raise their hands, or maybe they're new at it. And then I say, everyone does sound healings a little bit differently. I share from the space what I know my nervous system likes, and it's not really loud. And I'm very mindful. It's not a bang and a clash and a swirl and a this and a that, right? It's taking you on a journey. And remember, you're coming into the space, like your group. Let's take, for example, your group. It was a very large group, right? And so that's a lot of energies. And then I want you to feel safe with me. I want you to feel connected. I want you to ground in. So I'll talk with you a little bit in the beginning, and then I'll lead you in a slight meditation to connect you to your body and your breath, and allow you to connect to the energies of Mother Earth, so
Mhm.
that you are feeling safe. I want you to snuggle in your support, your blanket and your eye pillow and all of the things. That's creating a safe environment for you to let go. And then there's no need to like really play the instrument super loud. And like I said, I've done about 5 or 6 different teachings with different teachers, and have taken a little bit of all of it. And I play harmonically. So the crystal bowls are instruments. They each are assigned a note. So the way I play may be different than other people. And I know I've been in my own sound healings where I've attended, And people aren't playing that way. They'll say they're playing intuitively. And so you may have bowls in front of you, but I liken it to an instrument. And so let's say you had a piano in front of you and you just started playing different notes, and those notes didn't sound very good together. And so I think about that and I'm like, well, if the notes on the piano don't sound good together, if I'm playing two next to each other and I'm not playing chopsticks, then why would bowls sound really beautiful together? So what you get from me are harmonic chords, and my bowl set are all attuned to each other. And, I may have a big bowl that creates a deep resonating sound that pulls you down, that grounds you. And then I may have a high bowl that's smaller, but they may be the same sound, but it's different octaves. So, and then just slightly interjecting other instruments like the chime or the harp or,
Mhm.
things along those lines that takes you on this beautiful journey. And it's not startling your nervous system because I'm holding your nervous system in that sound healing. So
Right.
you've literally handed it over to me. And now I'm going to hold that with deep reverence.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. I
Hmm.
absolutely. I wonder too, and Tara and I have talked about this in the past. Like, I'm not for everybody. Tara's not for
Hmm.
everybody. I wonder if it's also part of that because these are tools. We all have our tools and our practices, right? So I imagine there's a certain amount, you know, going to other sound baths that maybe I'm not resonating with the player, or the
Absolutely.
artist or whatever, however you're practitioner. I'm looking
Practitioner.
for
Yep.
that word here. I'm throwing it
Yeah.
out.
I
So,
totally agree with that, Nancy. I do. And you know what? So Sedona is saturated with sound healers. Any time of day you could probably find about 5, 6 sound healings going on during the day. It's my belief, number one, I live in Sedona. I don't believe in scarcity. I believe in abundance, right? And
Mhm.
so you were meant to show up in front of me with your people. And any person who shows up in front of me, I always think about everything that has to happen in order for the two of us or the three of us or the group of us to connect. And
yeah.
so I do believe in that. And then hopefully that person is resonating with me. And I will share that I do, my own work so that I am a clear vessel and the energy showing up in front of you. Because imagine if I was having a crazy, chaotic day, which can happen, but I got to do my own clearing before I show up in front of you because that's going to be passed on in the sound healing. So I need to do that work. And I'm really particular about what I do and how I show up.
I love that. I love that. Tara and I get a bit preachy with that sometimes about
Uh huh.
do the work. So it's
Yeah.
And then people start going, you guys talk a lot about the work. What is the work? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, did we not tell you what the work is? Just do it. Just do the work. You'll know.
Yeah, do the work is right. Because I also want to be authentic, right? So
Oh,
if I'm a yoga
wow.
teacher and a meditation teacher and a sound healer and a coach, I have to do my own work. I have to also receive what I'm sharing. I have to be in stillness. I have to contemplate. I have to, go to my own retreats. I have to dig in and do the work. I have to clear the crap out so that I am this vessel so that I can hold space for all of you. And I'm very careful about my language too. When I use the word healing,
Mhm.
no, like, and this is something that's going to circle back to what you were saying earlier, Tara, is you're your own healer. I'm holding the space for you to heal. And using that word, heal means bringing your body back to its normal state, right?
Truth.
So if we want to
Truth.
look at that word, that's what it is. And so I like to think that we're all on a healing journey and we're all moving towards, being our true authentic self. And so whatever it is that we're doing on that path, I'm not doing it for you. I'm holding the space for you to do the work.
Oh, that is such a beautiful way to explain it. I do
thank
have a very large trigger, 204,1210, on the word healer and how it's used. Um, I do, but I love that definition. That just flowed so beautifully, and it really resonated with me as well. Uh, there's a lot, and I would
Hmm.
even in Sedona, because Sedona is like a mecca,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, like you said, there's sound baths going on, there's people going, there's aliens all over the place, and there's all sorts of things. So,
Yes.
so having said that, I think it truly is wise as practitioners of any metaphysical or spiritual modalities, so mediums, intuitive readers, oracles, all those things. It is really important that when we put out a phrase or a wording or call ourselves something, that we are cognizant of how that may be received by those that aren't necessarily embedded in the spiritual metaphysical
Hmm.
communities. So I tend to use the word when I'm describing my collective, the people that are in my collective, or that if I'm running an event, I tend to use the word energy practitioner as opposed to healer. Not because I'm opposed to the word healer. I do understand the context of it, and I do feel it. But there is a whole lot of people out there that don't have it. And we can't always be, in teaching mode. And what I mean by that is, you're running an event and you've put it out there the best to your ability, and you've dotted as many I's and crossed as many T's as you can. And I always forget something. If you ever read an email from me, you'll be like, oh, she doesn't spell check at all. That's how busy I am. But my point being here is that, Joe Blow comes in and goes to a healer and
Hmm.
has a let's say an ulcer. Let's just say an ulcer. Joe Blow has an ulcer. And he comes back and he starts, he truly went in thinking you were going to cure his ulcer, and he came out and his ulcer was not cured. So I think that, in a lot of ways, you're careful with words. I absolutely agree with you. I'm very cautious in how we present ourselves so that there is no harm done
Hmm.
to ourselves as well as to the individual who feels they're coming in. Does that
Right.
Mhm.
make sense, Nan?
It
Cheryl?
does. It's a lot about what we've been talking about, ethics and integrity, as the practitioner, as the one who's whatever modality it is. You have to come from that place and that perspective, I feel. Otherwise, then you end up with some of the less light, the less energy out there. And we've all talked about some of the practitioners who talk about curses and this and that, and they're just in it as kind of on the take. But I feel
Yeah.
like, the three of us are sitting here, we're all coming from the same place. It's that ethics, it's the integrity, it's the
So important.
so,
Hmm.
yeah.
And I
You
do
know,
love the word healing. I do
yeah.
healing as opposed to healer.
Healer. Yes. Sound healing. Yes.
Yes.
And I'll call myself a sound healing practitioner. You touched on a good point, both of you. Remember, Sedona is a spiritual healing mecca, as you said, but sometimes people end up here and end up in front of me and they've never done anything like this whatsoever. So I have to be in the place of, one, non-judgment. Two, you showed up for a reason. Three, you may not know what that is. And I'm just going to do my thing. And I'm not responsible for what happens with you in the experience. I can't get into that, right? I'm going to hold the space for you. And if you're in your mind the whole time thinking about the pink Jeep tour that you're going on, I can't help that, right? What I
True.
can
And that's a good
do.
point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right, exactly. Because what happens then is I'm trying to create such a beautiful experience, but I don't really know you. I don't know what brought you here. I don't know past experiences. I don't know if you have trauma. I don't know you. But what I do know is you ended up in front of me. You were curious about something, or you wanted to try this sound healing with me, and what I can do is show up as my true authentic self. And I'm going to hold the space for you, and the experience is going to flow. But ultimately, you're responsible for how the experience happens within your body, right? Are you fully committed? Are you present? Are you focusing on your breath, or are you thinking about, whatever's next?
Right.
Are you in your body?
Yeah,
And
we're not
that is right.
out.
I can't fix all of that, right? But I can give you the tools by talking about it and taking you in. And then magic can happen, right? If you
That's right.
trust and let go.
But it is up to you. It is, like with anything though, even with mediums and intuitive individuals who are doing, this work. And all this work is a form of mediumship because you're connecting to higher self and spirit and all that
Mhm.
jazz. It is personal responsibility. It is your
Mhm.
personal responsibility. If you're going to come and see me and have the exchange, it's your personal responsibility to show up as well as it is for me to provide. And
Right.
that's very important as well.
Right. And sometimes I believe that when we're in a sound healing, it goes to one of my teachers who wasn't my direct teacher, but his name's Jonathan Goldman, and he is a pioneer in sound. So if you looked him up, he's got many books, he's got courses. He's been in this industry since the beginning of, a very long time. And so just reading his book, he has a formula: intention plus frequency equals healing. He
Mm.
believes that that is the formula. And I subscribe to that formula because everything in life is about intention, right? You place your awareness on an intention, and the intention is to, I don't know, get a new job or have a relationship or to be a sound healer or to create greater abundance, right? And then our attention is on that intention. Then we create the frequency, the energy in that space with the sound, with the vibration. And then you are the vessel that sound moves through you. So think of yourself, and I know I shared this in the sound healing. You're the vessel. And why are you the vessel? Because we as humans are 72% water, and water and sound go beautifully together. Sound moves through water quite quickly. And so
Yes.
that's vibration, right? So all the liquids and fluids within our body pick up this vibration and begin to move through our body. And it's all energy. We're moving that stagnant energy through our body. So you take that intention and then you take that frequency. And he believes it equals healing. And so do I. So we're healing. We're bringing our body back to its natural state. We're focusing on our intention and we're moving that stagnant energy out of our body. And then after we're finished, we release the intention and we're always co-creating, right? We're co-creating with source, God, universe, whatever it is that you believe in. And that's my belief system. Everything comes back to our intention and as we co-create and move through life.
I
I
was
love
just writing down the whole back to natural state. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Nan, Nan. We need to ask her some
Cheryl,
questions
we're
before
gonna
we wrap up.
Yes, we're gonna ask some questions. So you've led your way into the mentors. We were talking about that. What is the best piece of advice that you were given on your developmental path? And what is the best piece of advice you'd give to our listeners?
Yeah. So I would say that the best advice that was given to me is if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Oh
And
my God,
so,
say that 10 times.
yeah, I know. And like this goes back years, right? And so we must push ourselves into discomfort in order to expand and grow. And
Truth.
change is inevitable, right? And so it's a choice every day, right? Do I want to move into this or do I want to move away from it? And
Love
there were so many times in my life that the discomfort was really freaking hard. And, it's like, but I got to go through the fire to come out the other side.
Right.
And right. And so sometimes the fire is really turned up, and sometimes, you feel like, oh, I can walk through this. And so, trust that process. And I believe that we're led to those places in our life to create the growth that we need.
Mhm. Mhm. Love that.
Um, what I would share is, yeah, trust the process.
My
Um,
favorite words.
yeah, trust the process, right? Um, I can honestly tell you, it would take me hours to go through my history and how I ended up doing what I'm doing and why I do what I do. But I'll never forget there was this moment when I was sitting in Sedona doing a sound healing, and well, I know I had tears. And I said, everything that I had to go through in life put me in this seat as I sit before you now,
Mm.
because I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing it. And, I love helping people on their healing journey. I love being a practitioner and people showing up in front of me. I love being the spiritual life coach and using some of my wisdom that I've received over time and impart that and ask curious questions of where are you and where do you want to be? And so just knowing that everything happens for a reason. But it took me a hell of a long time to get there.
I
Definitely.
hear you.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Tara?
So I always get this one, and I love this question, um, because I love hearing the answer. So
Mm,
if you were to have spiritual tea with
mhm.
anyone on the other side, who would it be and why?
I would have to say probably Ram Dass.
Oh,
Yeah, I love his teachings. I love his meditations. I love his outlook on life. Just listening to him, his music, like he pairs well. I listened to a practitioner, East Forest, who got to interview him and uses some of his words of wisdom in his music. And like he was a trailblazer, right? He was a trailblazer in the sense of, um, spirituality, psychedelics, all of this. He was a trailblazer. You go back to the 60s and him and Timothy Leary and all the things that they did. And yet, you know, his saying is we're all walking each other home. It's just beautiful. And it's something that when I was doing my yoga teacher training years ago, that statement came up and I was like, I must know who said that because I do believe that we all are walking each other home.
mhm.
Um, and if we allow our guard to come down, we can join together and be able to do that so much more easily than having to fight our way and doing it individually. And so that's who
Letting that
I would
guard
have
down.
spirituality with. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. Cheryl, why don't you tell our listeners, our followers, how they can find you? Now, I know that you've done a
Yeah.
little bit of work together, and I've shared some of your, and I'm hoping in the new year to have another correlation and connection with you. But why don't you tell people how they can find you right now, girlfriend?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So you're going to go to Grit and Grace meditation. Notice the words grit and grace, right? We have to have that resilience and then we have to surrender to the grace. So that is the name of my business, Grit and Grace Meditation. .com. And when you go there, you'll see all of my different offerings. And I also host women's retreats, and that's selfloveretreats.net. And if you're in Sedona, I would love to connect with you in person. But if you go to my website, that's where you'll find all the information of how you can book a session with me in person here in Sedona. Or if you're not able to come to Sedona and you want to connect, I do offer virtual sound healings, virtual breathwork sessions, coaching sessions, all the things. But I love to meet people in person. But I do the virtual world
Because we all ain't going down to Sedona all day, every day.
every
That
day.
I've been there
Exactly.
twice, 2 years in a row. I will likely go down next year
Awesome.
with just a small group of friends.
You guys had a huge group and that was a lot of energy, I'm
That
sure.
was. It
Yeah.
was. Cheryl, thank you so much, my friend, for being a part of this with Nancy and I. I'm so grateful that you managed to work with us on the scheduling because it just is what it is. And
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to work with you again soon.
I look forward to it too. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you, Cheryl. And that is a wrap for today's episode, Spirit Gang. We hoped you enjoyed diving in with Cheryl as much as we did, all about sound and the amazing work that she does. Don't forget to join us next time for more spiritual insights, stories, and guidance.
Make sure you're following us on all our social media platforms, and where do we go? What do we do? We're on what? Apple? We're on
And
Spotify.
everywhere.
We're like everywhere. We're
Spotify.
everywhere. So come and find us. Give us 5 stars, especially if you love Cheryl. Go to her website, check her out. Grit and Grace, love it. And we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of our journey. And until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep shining your light.
Spirit
Bye.
angels and guides. Oh my.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.